Welcome to another edition of RCE. Again, this is Brock Palen. You can find us online at rce-cast.com. You can find the entire back catalog there of over 100 episodes. Again, I have here Jeff Squyres from Cisco Systems and one of the authors of OpenMPI. Jeff, thanks a lot for your time.
Hey, Brock, how's it going? We haven't done one of these in a little while. We kind of just gotten busy with some other things, I suppose.
Yeah, no, it had this personal things, summer travel, all that sort of stuff. I moved. It's been busy.
Yeah, so we still got a little more vacation coming up and whatnot, but we have like 2 or 3 of these queued up for the relatively near future, right? Yeah.
We went on a little spat of reaching out to people and setting up, times to be able to have discussions with them, and we're always looking for people who to go to the nomination form on the website at rce-cast.com and send us ideas for other topics and groups we should talk to. So if anyone has ideas, they should do that.
Yeah, thanks for bearing with us, all the fans out there. Appreciate it, and sorry for the bit of a hiatus we've had, but give us another couple of weeks here for summer vacations and whatnot, and then we'll be back in the swing of things. But I am excited, actually, to start up with who we got today. This is a guy I've known for quite a while. He's been in the HPC community for as long as I have, which is actually a very, very long time. But amusingly enough, it didn't even occur to me until we started recording today. I'm at the Cisco mothership today in San Jose, California, and I could have driven up the road, literally, and we could have done this sitting in the same room. Boo on me for not thinking of this ahead of time. But let me introduce. We're going to be talking about Singularity today with its founder, Greg Kurtzer. So, Greg, could you introduce yourself?
Hey, guys. I'm Greg. By the way, thank you so much for inviting me to do this. This is fantastic. And you guys, how long have you guys been doing this for?
Oh, that's a good question.
Oh, man, I think it's coming up on, 5, 6, 7 years, something like that.
I remember when you guys first started this, and I'm so happy to see you guys have been just putting this out there and doing so much great for the community with these podcasts. So thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me. So as I mentioned, I'm Greg. I'm an HPC architect and developer for Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. I've had some experience creating various open source projects in the community, some of which some people may be familiar with. Probably the biggest one is Centos Linux. I'm the primary founder of Centos Linux, although there were some other co-founders involved as well, but I was running the organization that created it. Also Warewulf and Singularity most recently.
So Singularity is what we're going to be talking about today. So can you give us a quick overview of what Singularity is?
Sure thing. So Singularity is a container system. So I can give a little story, actually, I think, of how Singularity came to be. So in doing HPC for the national labs, we've always had a lot of scientists that would always come to us with their code, and whether it be Fortran or C, they really bragged on how efficient their code was and how portable it was, and they wanted accounts running it on everywhere that you can imagine, just to basically make sure that A, it compiled, and B, it was faster than heck. So the scientists that was the environment that I came from. The scientists would relish the fact of how portable their source code was. So then we started working more with the university, and the university is much more I guess you could say forward thinking, and they're doing more of the current trends and moving more into the new wave of how people are doing things. And what we found is that they wanted to not just build a binary and have that portable, but they basically owned and built an entire operating system image, a container, if you will, that basically described and had within it all of their libraries, all of their scripts that they needed, all of the workflow, and everything that they wanted. And they have it running possibly on their laptop or possibly on their workstation. And when we started working with the university, they asked us, they said, so we've already got an image, or we got it running on this workstation, and I don't want to rebuild everything that I've already done, and you guys aren't even running a similar environment. So can you just run this over there? And that was really the first time I really started thinking about containers, and it's an interesting problem to solve.
All right, so hold on a second. What is a container? What is the difference difference with containers and virtual machines?
Oh, that's a really good question. So a virtual machine basically is running a application which is going to virtualize another computer. And then on top of that virtualization of another computer, you're running another kernel. You're running another user land. And then on top of that, you're going to run a whole nother level of applications. And the distance between those applications and the physical hardware compared to the applications running natively on that physical hardware is a much greater distance. And as a result, you're going to get a lot slower runs, and you're going to get higher latencies and whatnot. There's a lot of things they do to make it faster and whatnot, but let's not go into that right now. Containers, on the other hand, the applications that run within a container system are running basically at the same distance from the physical hardware as native applications. And as a result, they're going to run much faster, much more efficient.
So probably the best known implementation of using containers on Linux is Docker. How does Singularity, why don't I just use Docker on my system? How's Singularity versus Docker kind of compare?
Great question. So Docker is kind of the de facto container solution out there. When people think of containers, that's what they typically think of, and for good reason. I mean, it didn't pioneer the idea of containers. Containers existed for a much longer period of time than Docker has. But Docker's done a lot to do things like bringing the entire workflow of building containers, sharing containers with your friends, family, and neighbors, and leveraging that work of your peers to extend that and build additional containers and then run it. So they've basically brought a whole ecosystem of a workflow together. So there's a lot of validity in using Docker and HPC resources. So the question is really, why aren't we doing that? And if you look at how long Docker's been around, let's say approximately about 2 years, and ever since then, at least from the scientific perspective, about 2 years, and so far there's not really been one HPC center that's been able to do it. There's a huge number of complexities in installing Docker into a multi-tenant shared HPC environment. And as a result of that, I can go into any of the specifics that you want, but at a high level, you could see, I mean, we're going on years now, and scientists have been banging down our doors trying to get Docker installed, but it hasn't been done yet. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But yeah, installing Docker on an HPC resource really would have been the easy win. But can't do it.
Well, give us some examples. What are the complexities of it? Because it's marketed, and I know a lot of my friends who are in the web development types of community, web applications kind of community, they swear by Docker and they love Docker, and that is inherently a multi-tenant community, and they put all of their applications Docker. So what's different between that and HPC types of environments?
Okay, let's start off with. There's a lot of different ways that we can approach this problem. So let's start off with the fact that it's running as a daemon. So when the Docker process runs, it's actually running as a root-owned daemon. And for users to spawn jobs in Docker, they're basically communicating over a socket with a command line tool. And they're basically instructing that daemon what to do. So let's talk about this from a scheduler perspective. So if I were to go and submit a job to a cluster, to an HPC resource, the resource manager and the scheduler would work together to figure out, well, what size allocation do I get? Where is it going to go? And they're going to let me run on that. Now, if I ask for a job that says, give me a wall clock time of 5 minutes on one processor, and then I run a job and my job goes over that 5 minutes, what's going to happen? It's going to get killed. And the resource manager is basically going to say, you've exceeded your allocation, so it's killing it. So no problem. Now, in the Docker community, or the Docker perspective, what you end up with is the user application or the user command line that communicates with that daemon is going to tell that daemon, okay, well, here's the job I want you to run. Now, they could detach from that daemon, and that job just goes off and runs on the end. And even if that client program gets killed at that point, it's not stopping the Docker daemon from continuously running that job. So what you end up with is the Docker daemon is outside the reach of the scheduler.